Now let me ask you this, then. I'll start this here and then go back around, and then I know you guys want to talk about the male perspective. Do you think a woman having detached sex is a learned behavior or a natural behavior?
I feel like it's a learned behavior just because of the simple fact that females, we have sex because we have, like, you have to have that
attachment?
Not even that attachment. You have to have that comfort in someone. Like, you're not going to open your legs to someone when you feel uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
That's why we have the ability to say yes or no. That's why that word is given to us. You all don't have that ability. You all have to ask for that. So we have to say yes or no. So it's
very good point.
So to you, it's a learned behavior. What about you? Do you think it's a learned behavior being able to have detached sex, or it's a natural thing that women can just do?
I think back to what someone said earlier, like, you could be into sex and then something could happen to you to make you detach from sex.
What could that be?
Like, if you get sexually assaulted, you can literally not want to ever do that again in your life because you're so traumatized from the experience.
Well, but wouldn't the argument be that would be a learned behavior from a traumatic experience?
That I feel like it's more so. That's
the question I'm asking. I'm not asking how it's done. I'm asking, is detached sex for women a learned behavior or a natural behavior?
I think it could be either or. I think people could just not want to be in that state. Either. Like, people like.
All right, how about this? The majority of women, if I line up 100 women, and they're hoes,
learned or natural,
or they're promiscuous, do you think their ability to have detached sex?
It could be learned because you're also surrounding yourself by that. So that's what you're learning from. So you're going to go based off what you're surrounding yourself by.
All right, what about you? Do you think it's a learned behavior or a natural behavior by women?
I think it's neither. I think it's a choice. It's not necessarily like it just comes naturally to be able to have sex and not be attached. But as well as just because you've been through a traumatic experience and now it affects you a certain way doesn't mean as well that it's a learned thing. That is a physical thing in your brain. That's a PTSD trauma experience.
That's natural.
It's not a natural occurrence that caused it, though. It's a natural way for our brains to react, but the way that it happened, the reason why we got there was very much not natural.
Yeah, but that's
hold on.
But we also didn't learn to react.
But it's an adaptation to an experience, which means by definition it's learned.
Yeah.
But it's not, because I didn't say, so because this happened to me, I'm going to start reacting this way to sex, or I'm going to switch my position on how I feel about sex. It's more so like, because this has happened to me, I'm now realizing that my feelings and my attachment towards it has changed due to chemical things inside of my brain causing me to react this way to it now. And you can learn from those what your triggers are and stuff like that.
That's a learned behavior from experience. You're confirming what he just said.
Yeah, your argument is basically that it's a learned behavior. You might not like the way I'm phrasing it, but you're literally saying it's a learned behavior by your own explanation.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's probably the problem. I feel like it's probably how they're asking it is what's making us triggered so much to feel like they're attacking us. But at the end of the day, a word is a word. A word has a definition, and a learned behavior is not something that you automatically have. When you're born as a baby, you don't have this trigger to where, like, if I know what's going to happen if somebody me, I'm going to immediately act like this. So once, shut up. but once that happens, that's a learned behavior. So I think it's probably just how he's saying it, but at the end of the day, it's a learned behavior.
I mean, if you want to say it's not a learned behavior, that's fine. I'll put it's not a learned behavior.
I think it's a choice, but I think the learn saying, okay, go ahead.
No,
I mean,
but how could it be a choice then?
Because you're taking all of the knowledge of everything that you've been through and you're deciding on whether or not you want something.
That means you learned something, right?
Okay, but a PTSD traumatic something that you cannot handle on how you react to is not a learned experience. That is something that was brought onto you. That is how your body reacts without you having to think about certain things. Learning.
Hold on, you just said it was a choice, right? Choice means you're making the choice.
Emotionless
you're lucid.
Sex.
You're able to make the decision, which means it's a choice.
To have emotional sex, yes.
No.
Emotionless sex. Sorry.
Hell, you talking about?
Bruh. Yo.
You've contradicted yourself a few times from your point.
You're a teacher, right?
Preschool teacher, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You're saying it's not a learned behavior, but then you're going back and saying it's a choice. But if it's a choice, that means that choice was predicated based on some type of on some kind of experience, which means it's literally learned. Because you're making the choice from some base of knowledge. And if you have knowledge, that means you learned something.
Why I'm saying it's a choice.
No, but
I'm saying a PTSD
PTSD reaction, I feel like natural,
is not,
so I feel like it could be
that's not learned, is what I'm saying. It is a reaction from your body that's natural.
It's a learned response to something that occurred to you, and it's an adaptation.
I feel like something that's learned is something that I have knowledge of, like getting taught my 1, 2, 3s.
Is it learning natural? Learning from your environment is pretty natural. So I feel like it's like both. You know?
I say both. Like, I don't know.
All right.
Wait, she teaches preschool kids?
Yes, Chris.
All right, what about you?
Yes,
Do you
she
think
does, bro.
a woman having detached sex is a learned behavior or natural in general?
I think sex is biological. And I think if a woman is having detached sex,
She's
probably
a hoe.
out of necessity.
She's a hoe.
No.
Out of necessity?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe she needs to do it for a living.
Okay.
Maybe she doesn't have any way to make any other, maybe she doesn't have a way to make money, or it's a last resort.
Okay. So
Not
is
for
it
everybody.
is it a learned behavior?
Not for
Some people like it.
Is that since it's out of necessity, is it a learned behavior from the necessity to do it to help kind of cope with it, or is it natural that women can just have sex and be detached?
Well, maybe it's natural because men are naturally stronger than women, and maybe women naturally have a sexual position that's kind of the yin and the yang, the way to make things equal. If men are physically stronger, then maybe women have that a sexual
submissive.
Yes.
So you think women are naturally detached from sex?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
no.
so it's a learned behavior then.
Okay. I guess so. Is it a learn? I don't know.
Logic? Not the building, bro. I promise you,
Is
bro.
it a learned behavior?
That's what I'm asking you. Do you think a woman being able to have detached sex is a learned behavior or it's natural?
I guess it's learned behavior, yeah.
Okay. What about you? Learned behavior or natural?
Learned.
Okay. What about you?
I feel like it's so situational. Like some girls, like the life they went through made them into hoes. Some girls have been like just always slutty. Like some people became sluts later on. Like it's so like,
Hold on.
So when
there's like the innate whore,
just
and then
with
there's the
her,
learned whore.
just like with her, if they went through experiences and they're able to adapt to it, wouldn't that make it mean that it's a
But
learned
what if
behavior?
you were a slut before nothing happened to you, but then shit happened to you, but you're always a slut?
Do you think a majority of women are naturally sluts?
No.
So then wouldn't it be fair to say that most of the time it's a learned behavior?
Yes.
Because on paper, how can it be a slut without experience?
Exactly.
So it's kind of like.
Well, I mean, when I said experience, I mean like a negative sexual experience. Like some girls become sluts after like some unconsensual or assault or whatever. Some girls have been sluts, and then certain things will make them more.
And that's still
one way or the other.
learned behavior.
Yeah, but I was just saying there are innate sluts. That was kind of.
We just don't like the word. That's the problem. It's the word that you're using, which is making people like, no, we're not sluts and hoes.
You can claim a word though. I'm a slut.
I was gonna say I'm a slut. I'm a hoe 110% all the way.
Trust me, we know.
And you teach kids?
Yeah.
All right. What about you? Do you think it's a learned behavior or natural within women?
I think it's learned, but I also think you have a choice. Even though you've learned something, you can still choose to not or to do it.
Okay, so learned. What about you?
I would say it's learned.
Learned. What about you?
Did you learn to be a stripper?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
I definitely think it's learned, but I mean, you could argue like nurture versus nature and say that there are some people that are just more like hypersexual than others, but at the same time, like there's a lot of circumstances and like situations and conditions that tend to bring that out in some people more than others.
Fredo, what's your thoughts on this?
Definitely think it's learned.
I think
this whole
that,
detached sex and learned behavior,
They
etc.
hoes.
Yeah, I think that women who have detached sex are hoes. To be honest, I don't feel like it's something that is like it's natural. I don't think you come out your mom's womb a fucking hoe. I think like if you're a hoe, you probably seen some hoe shit. You turn into a fucking hoe, and now you're a hoe.
Even if you do it one time?
What do you mean one time?
Like
what do you
say
mean?
one time, like say you did have something happen to you, but you don't decide to have
I feel
sex
like,
continually.
see, I wanted to say something on that. If
And
something
then-
happened to a girl, I think 9 times out of 10, if it's like a traumatic our experience, they're gonna want to be with a man that they're comfortable with. It's not gonna be
okay.
You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna just keep fucking around just because they just got hard.
No, they will though. No, a lot of the time they will. But that has to do with psychology and the way that certain things affect people. You can become hyper or hyposexually
one mic at a time.
active.
Thank you.
After.
One mic at a time. Somebody was saying something. Go ahead.
I feel like it's like a psychology thing. It's hypersexuality and sexual repulsion, and girls can go down one road, the other road, go back and forth. Me myself, I've been there. I've been, we
had that conversation earlier.
Go really repulsed, and then be a fucking whore. Like it's like sexuality is so fluid, and that's not just like when I say that doesn't just mean like sexual orientation. That just means your relationship to sex.
No, absolutely.
Do you have some? Then I can
I'm just gonna be honest with it, man. I mean, honestly speaking, if you got R-worded, that sucks. It's not cool at all. But it's still a choice. And if you decide to be a hoe, that's still on you.
Yeah, but I don't think it's negative. Like for me, I feel like my whole experiences have made me feel more comfortable in myself because a lot of my early experiences weren't consensual. So being able to do a bunch of shit that was my choice, me personally, it made me feel good. That's not every girl. Some people go have that hoe phase and hate that they did that.
What made you feel good? What made you feel good about
taking control over the situation?
Getting vocal, because I used to never get my nut. Now I got vocal. I'll tell a man, this sucks. You're not fucking me good. Eat. Like, and then you have a better experience. Like, I'm glad. That's different for everybody.
You learn your body as well.
You learn your body. You learn how to get yourself off.
Exactly.
No, I have a question.
Most girls don't nut in straight relationships.
Pussy.
Not
all right.
Okay.
No, like we fake it too much. Men need to not think that they're as good as they are in bed.
All right. I guess I'll just address, because you guys kept bringing up men and everything, and I'll just kind of tie everything together. But did you want to say something before I say this?
Yeah, I wanted to know why exactly did you start having sex after that? Like, that second time after you had that experience, why did you decide to have sex and just that detachment sex?
I feel like, so it was weird. Like, I kind of have to get into it to make sense. Like, the first...
No, well, I want to first say, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I really want to say, like, I really feel that happened to you. But I do want to know.
It happens to the majority of us, I feel like. And
I was going to say, it happens to so many people in the sex industry.
Like, I feel like, because I was, like, it was kind of a grooming situation when I was a lot younger. I got to the age, and I was like, wait, you're a fucking weirdo. And then I feel like I just started fucking everybody. But that was me. I don't know. It wasn't thought. That was, like, mindless.
So you wanted to have sex? You wanted to.
She belongs to the streets.
Personally, with my own experience after after those things had happened to me, I actually became like, I didn't have sex for like 2 years. Like, I didn't let anyone touch me at all. And then I went from that to being a porn star. So it again has to do with it has to do with just how you choose to move forward with the situation. Like, I can either let it take me down completely, and now I'm never gonna trust anybody to have sex again unless I build and have all of that effort put into having a good relationship and stuff like that, or I can just surround myself with better people that I know I can trust that won't take advantage of me in that way. And then I'm building a connection with them as a friend. I am, that comfortability is there, and I can have that sex with still feeling comfortable, still getting my nut off.
Okay, this is therapy. Who's next?
Can I
getting this shit up.
I was gonna ask something, then I forgot it.
You had a point, Myron?
Did you have something that you wanted to say? You
said I kind of spaced it. I need 3 seconds.
Yeah, okay.
This is sad, man.
Yeah. I'll give my take on this, because a lot of you guys were trying to compare it to men, so I'll just make it simple, right?
Ooh,
Go ahead.
My bad. I was gonna say, I feel like also the whole phase of women, it's like a full circle, because like I think a lot of guys, like, gonna say, like, type of people in the chat, like, that we can't go and fuck like that because we don't get the same satisfaction, which is honestly true. So I feel like most women who had an actual hoe phase circle back around to not having a bunch of like random sex.
Ain't no circle back. Once you go a hoe, you forever a hoe. You can't, spin a block on that.
I don't deny that phase. I would never lie to a man and be like, my body counts 6. Like,
do you know what your body count is?
No.
You don't know? Okay. Isn't it triple digits?
I think so.
I think so.
They're creeping up.
All right. So I think the best way to answer this is because you guys had mentioned men a few times, trying to compare men to women. I think that if you got to look at it from a biological standpoint, right? So like, what does sex do? Create children, right?
Yes.
Could we all agree that it creates children? Okay. How many children can a woman bring to term per year?
I don't know.
Without doing damage to your body, 1, because your body needs time to heal,
or
and
maybe
everything
a twin
like
or
that
triplets, but in general 1, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's
now, how many children can a man bring to term per year?
Too many.
Oh yeah, he could bust multiple nuts a day with multiple women, right?
Yeah. But we're overpopulated, so wouldn't that mean the other way around?
Please stay focused on the example I'm trying to give here. because I'm saying all this to kind of paint a picture. So if sex creates children, and we know that women typically can only bring one child to term, maybe two, or maybe even a triplet if she's lucky, right? But a man can bust a bunch of nuts and impregnate a bunch of women. What does that mean? Well, that directly ties with our level of being able to have detached sex. The reason why men aren't necessarily hoes for having sex with a bunch of women is because we are the homemakers. We're the ones that impregnate you guys. You guys are the ones that carry the seed for a year. So women have to be more selective on who they fuck, right? Because you can only bring one child to term per year. So with that said, hold on. So with that said, women naturally are more selective on who they have sex with in general than men are. You could take the most promiscuous woman, right? You said before, you're really selective on who you have sex with, right? Because you got to make sure money's right, blah, 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 all this other stuff, right? Even you as a porn star, as a promiscuous woman, you are going to be more, you're going to be more selective than even the most prudest of men. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So a guy that's not a horn dog is still going to have sex with more women, or majority of women, whereas you won't, even though you're a very promiscuous woman.
Right.
So what I'm trying to establish here is that for a woman to have detached sex, it's a learned behavior because women are naturally selective on who they have sex with.
But I feel
that's
like
a biological reality.
But that's also assuming that everyone's fucking to have a kid.
No, I feel like you should just say that.
Hold on. But okay, that's the same argument as you're eating candy to sustain yourself. The reality is you're eating candy because you enjoy it, right? But do you really need it to sustain yourself? No, people eat food for happiness, right? They eat it for pleasure. Same thing now. People have sex, right, for pleasure now, but the base root is for children. And that's why we still engage in certain practices and we look for the opposite gender. Even though you're not going to have a kid with a guy, you still want a guy that's tall, you still want a guy that's money, still want a guy that's charming. You still look for these protector and provider instincts in the man, right? Yeah. Even though you're not going to have children with him. You got to remember that we're still instinctualized to believe that we can have kids from having sex. So when we meet our partner, we want them to be able to bear our child in a healthy manner. That's why men look for younger women look for taller men, stronger men, guys that have money, all these shit. So what I'm trying to say is that biology, a lot of the times, doesn't adhere to modern conventions. We have birth control and shit, but women are still selective. So what I'm trying to say is that women are naturally more selective. So it's a learned behavior for a woman to be. It is. Because you have to be able to get rid of attachment from men that's required for you to have sex with them in the first place. And the only women that I've seen that are able to effectively do that are women that are professionally promiscuous. Porn stars, strippers, OnlyFans girls, etc. No offense.
That's why she's the most overly confident one about it. Like out of any girl here at the table, like she stands on that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's only her. Like she's standing on that shit. Maybe her too.
Yeah.
She probably her too,
but it is a minority of women that can actually have detached sex. Most women want some kind of investment from a sexual partner. They want them to take her on a date. They want to feel special. They want to be wined and dined.
That's a double standard though too, because men expect that I have this bitch that I'm fucking, so because I'm fucking her, I can still go out and fuck whoever I want. But you have to stay true to me